chapter. We've got Jill Sharp here, who is one of the stars of Cosmos Theater, that is to say the theater group of Cosmos Club. And we are at Stephen's school, where he is not long to stay as a teacher, but we find him in the classroom as the chapter opens.
Thank you, Bob. You, Cochrane, what city sent for him? Tarentum, sir? Very good. Well, there was a battle, sir? Very good. Where? The boy's blank face asked the blank window. Oh, fabled by the daughters of memory, and yet it was in some way, if not as memory fabled it. Ah, phrase then of impatience, thud of Blake's wings in excess. I hear the ruin of all space, shattered glass and toppling masonry, and time one livid final flame. What's left us then? I forget the place, sir. 279 BC. Asculum, Stephen said, glancing at the name and date in the gore-scarred book. Yes, sir, he said. Another victory like that, and we're done for.
Made it, so I'm going to have to read instead. Robert Aubrey Jones, Joe Davis. Robert Aubrey Davis, who
needs some introduction.
I'm sure you know from television and one thing and another. At any rate, he is still in the shoes of Stephen Dedalus walking along the beach. Robert, please go ahead.
The grainy sand had gone from under his feet. His boots trod against a damp, crackling mast, razor shells, squeaking pebbles, that on the unnumbered pebbles beats, wood sieved by the shipworm, lost armada. Unwholesome sand flats waited to suck his treading soles, breathing upward sewage breath. He coasted them, walking warily. A porter bottle stood up, stogged to its waist in the cakey sand dough. A sentinel! Island of dreadful thirst. Broken hooks on the shore. At the land, a maze of dark, cunning nets. Farther away, chalk-scrawled back doors. And on the higher beach, a drawing line with two crucified shirts.
Well known in Joycean circles in Washington because he used to produce a fantastic series of readings at the Irish Times pub, people still talk about. And it turns out that Herb, who was a psychiatrist or psychologist,
psychiatric social worker.
And but more importantly, a poet, was actually married today, and so he's celebrating his wedding anniversary. Herb?
This is my 5th wedding anniversary. That's Leslie, my wife, over there. Thank you, Bob. Let's have a hand for Bob Kolodny and Politics and Prose for putting this on. And also for the Harvard Club for helping to put this on. This is the closest I'll ever get to Harvard. Now I'm going to read some passages from the first chapter of Ulysses. This chapter is set at a tower in a suburb of Dublin called Sandy Cove. Sandy Cove is on the water and is really quite a beautiful place. The tower was built in the early 19th century to protect Ireland from attack. It's like a low castle tower with very thick walls. On June 16, 1904, the date Ulysses takes place on, the tower is being rented by Stephen Dedalus, Buck Mulligan, and an Englishman named Haynes. They were just using it as an apartment. These passages take place in the apartment area and on a path going down to the gentleman's bathing area. The bathing area is still there, as is the tower itself. Buck Mulligan is making breakfast for Stephen and Haynes. Buck is a medical student, very bright and kind of a wise ass. Stephen is a writer and teacher, and Haynes is a clueless Englishman who is compiling a book about Irish folklore. Here Buck is making breakfast. Buck Mulligan, hewing thick slices from the loaf, said in an old woman's wheedling voice, "When I makes tea, as old Mother Grogan said. And when I makes water, I makes water." "By Jove, it is tea," Haynes said. Buck Mulligan went on hewing and wheedling. "So I do, Mrs. Cahill," says she. "Begob, ma'am," says Mrs. Cahill, "God send you don't make them in the one pot." He lunged towards his messmates in turn, a thick slice of bread impaled on his knife. "That's folk," he said very earnestly, "for your book, Haynes. 5 lines of text and 10 pages of notes about the folk and the fish gods of Dundrum.